Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum here at stage 954 at the casino at Dania Beach. Really cool place. And when you have a cool venue, you need a cool wrestler to be a part of this. And there it is.
What's going on?
D'Lo Brown.
How you doing, everybody?
And of course, if you know D'Lo, football player extraordinaire, and his team, the Bears.
I've been a Bears fan since I was 9 years old. That'll never change.
Favorite players? What did you like about football? You got into football. Tell us a little bit.
Favorite players, and I'll tell the story. I was like 8.5, 9 years old. I grew up near in Philadelphia, so everybody loved the Eagles. So one day this team came in, and guys, if you know anything, this is 1979. This is like the beginning of like ESPN, so you didn't get highlights, you know, Saturday night like you do now, or Sunday night like you do now. You had to wait till the next day and come out in the newspaper. So when you got your game of the day, you know, on Sunday, it was always your local team, the Eagles. One time the Eagles were playing this team, had no clue who they were. Eagles are killing this team. My brother and his boys were like, yeah, Eagles. This is where I immediately grew my dislike for the Eagles. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna root for the underdog team. Well, that team came back and won. In that win, this guy, wearing 34, hit the hole, spun right, ran 20 yards, stopped on a dime, spun left, ran 40 yards, turned upfield to make a 10-yard gain. So he ran 110 yards to do 10 yards. That guy, Walter Payton, I immediately became a fan of Chicago Bears on that day.
Sweetness!
Sweetness.
Now we're going to segue from that into tell us about a meeting, a special meeting when D'Lo Brown was in WWF, now WWE, and who did you get to meet? Do you remember where and when this was?
It was WrestleMania 13. I'll remember this till the day I die. I'm sitting in catering, and if you know, for you who've not seen catering, it's just tables set up like this, and there'll be lines of food over there. So you're pretty much. I was very young in the company, so I was always taught to keep your head down, be quiet, and listen. So I go get my food, and I'm just sitting there like this, and someone goes, "Hey, can I sit down?" I was like, "Please, please, please, sit down." And this person goes, "Hey, you excited about tonight?" I look up and I go, "You're Walter Payton." Yes, I'm excited about tonight, but I'm more excited about who I'm sitting across from. And I wanted to talk football. He wanted to talk wrestling. We sat there for 20 minutes doing a combination of both, and he couldn't have been nicer to me, anything in the world. I mean, just a great guy.
How big of a wrestling fan then was Walter
Huge wrestling fan, huge, knew everything. Knew the nation, knew all of us. I'm like, Walter Payton knows my name. I mean, come on. It didn't get any better than that, and here I am. I just walked into the WWF locker room, you know, and here Walter Payton knows me. What more could you ask for?
In that situation, does D'Lo Brown get a photo and an autograph?
D'Lo Brown got a photo, an autograph, and a signed football helmet.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I don't have those many moments where I want to get memorabilia signed, but there are very few times you meet people that, you know, influenced your life, sculpted your life, changed the way you looked at things. And Walter Payton was one of those people for me. So and God rest his soul. Unfortunately for him, wasn't too much longer later we lost him. So I consider myself lucky to have that interaction.
Yeah, two great running backs, if you mentioned Walter Payton, and the other one I remembered, Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders was another one. Retired way too young, but he got out smart with his health. So I mean, he's doing well for himself today, so who cares? Now
that WrestleMania 13, what match or action were you part of that one?
It was a Chicago street fight. It was a Nation versus the Legion of Doom and Ahmed Johnson. And I was just still bow tie guy. And I remember taking the Doomsday device during the match. So yeah, but I was in my adopted hometown of Chicago. I'm wrestling the legendary Legion of Doom. I'm out there with the Nation, and oh damn, it's WrestleMania. I mean, it was like this perfect storm coming together. It was amazing.
Now, were your brothers there for that action?
Family members were there. I definitely had family members there. People were watching, and you know, I brought people in just because it was so special to me.
And they were not wearing their Eagles shirts?
They were not wearing their Eagles shirts, no. No, that stuff is banned. It's contraband. You cannot wear Eagle stuff around me.
All right, D'Lo, so University of Maine, the Black Bears, you played college football.
Yes.
Then you had a tryout with the New York Jets.
Yes.
What do you remember about the tryout? And do you remember lining up against certain players or anything like that, or who was in camp at that time?
I was a walk-on, so we didn't line up against anybody. It was just other walk-ons, and I knew quickly that they were a different class athlete than I was. That wasn't my calling, and this is why I'm so enamored by football to this day, because the guy who you think is a scrub who's sitting on the bench, who's 53 on the roster, he's better than anything you know out there. And there's hundreds of thousands of guys out there who are just as good, who aren't getting an opportunity. That shows you how hard it is to break into that. And like I said, I knew quickly that wasn't my calling.
So you get out of camp, and that was it for you. Then, how do you get from football and then transition to pro wrestling?
Well,
and there were a lot of football players that had made transitions to pro wrestling.
My transition took me in the world of accounting first. So then I slowly went and worked in I never give a damn. Worked at a Fortune 500 company in New York City.
9-to-5 job.
More like 8 to 7.
Suit and tie.
Suit and tie, cubicle. You're doing the grunt work. So it wasn't uncommon to do 60, 70, 8-hour weeks. It was so bad. I tell you about it. I lived in Brooklyn. On a third-story walk-up. On the first floor was Bodega. For those who don't know, it's a little convenience store, and right next to it was a Chinese restaurant. So my stop would be, I would grab 2 Heinekens from the Bodega, and I would go in and go, give me number 7, and I ate everything on the menu 5 times. And there was one point when I would call, this is pre-caller ID. The guy would answer and I go, hey, how you doing? Ah, Mr. Kana, how are you? Because I called so much he knew me by name and knew my voice. What do you have today? So yeah, I did that. So then I transitioned to, I'd go back home whenever I had a weekend off, I'd go back home, back down to South Jersey. And my friend Tom Carter, who I love him, he was, we backyard wrestled together, and he was still doing it with his friends.
Was that Reckless Youth?
Yes. We went to high school together. Funny, crazy world. He would backyard wrestle with his friends, so I just jumped right in. We would build up, and we would rent Larry Sharpe's ring because we put on our monthly pay-per-view. So we'd rent Larry Sharpe's ring. One time Larry Sharpe stuck around to see what he was getting paid for nothing for, because he would just take the money and leave. So one time he stuck around, saw us out there playing around, came to me and said, you're pretty big athletic, you ever think about doing this for real? And I said, okay. He goes, you can be on my next show. Sell 50 tickets, you can be on my next show. So I sold 4, bought the other 46 myself, and that's how I got my start in professional wrestling.
CPA, college graduate, that's why you're a smart man. Sell the 50 tickets, or I'll sell them.
Those 46 tickets paid off 4 million times, so it was a good investment in myself.
Oh, that's great. And what was it like with Larry Sharpe? Well, Larry Sharpe had an interesting career himself.
Yeah, I mean, he was a prolific enhancement talent on the East Coast, but he worked his tail off all around the Eastern Seaboard, so he made a nice career for himself, and so much so gained a good enough reputation where he was able to open up a school that drew the attention of a lot of people who have gone on to had successful careers and make a lot of money. So
the Monster Factory?
The Monster Factory in New Jersey, and it's run today still, and still turning out talent. I mean, they boast 7 or 8 NXT guys right now, so and 4 or 5 Ring of Honor guys. So they're putting out some talent.